It's the Diamond K Show.
So much going on in the world. You talk about things from the perspective of how it is. DJ Diamond K, sometimes it comes off like you are almost not in support of, but you just accept the way things are and there's no chance of change. Check me out on YouTube. That's the part that I am just like,
unfiretv.com.
Welcome back. You man, Diamond K in here, of course. TheDiamondKShow.com, onfire-tv.com. Happy Monday to everybody. A lot of things, as always, a lot of things to get into, a lot of things to talk about. I do want to shout out, let me drop this real quick. On August the 13th, DJ Terry T and Friends presents the the citywide all-white affair going down at M&T Bank Stadium, the Upper North Club level, which is a big deal. They're having a white party at the Baltimore Arena, the Ravens Stadium. What am I doing today? Let's start over. Terry T Productions presents the citywide all-white affair, as I said, Saturday, August the 13th, M&T Bank Stadium, 1101 Russell Street. Check this lineup out. DJ Terry T, DJ Kenny K, DJ Booby, Sean Marshall, Tommy Davis, DJ Drehart, Davon the percussionist, hosted by Dollar Bill, April Watts, Ryan the Lion, and Natural. Tickets, they got some on sale on Eventbrite, but seems like they're going to sell out on that. So it's a big deal. They had me tongue-tied because they're having a white party at M&T Bank Stadium, right? And it's going to be crazy. Make sure you get your tickets for that. So definitely shout out. We had Terry T on the show, that's like 2 weeks ago. So shout out to him and the whole team for this very, very major event that is going down. So I think that speaking of NFL action and the Ravens Stadium, M&T Bank Stadium, got to talk about football because football season is fast approaching. Preseason is going to be here in a couple weeks, and now he's with the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson suspended for 6 games. We talked about this case and these allegations. So it is what it is now. We thought this was going to happen. Cleveland Browns quarterback suspended for 6 games after being accused by 24 women in Texas of what they're calling sexual misconduct during massage treatments. What does that even mean? Right? So they're saying that this is more egregious than any before reviewed by the NFL. So they're saying that the stuff that he's accused of doing is worse than anybody, and they've had people that have been accused of rape. So that's a hell of a statement for them to make. So this punishment was handed out by the disciplinary officer. So it fell well short of what the NFL had asked for, which was an open-ended suspension of at least a year for violating the league's personal conduct policy. But here's the thing. The Cleveland Browns just paid this dude a lot of money, the most money, guaranteed. Why would they send him home? Why would they send him home for a year? That doesn't even make sense. But NFL wanted more. This is what y'all got. The personnel conduct policy, the league's personnel conduct policy. Watson, of course, played 4 seasons with the Houston Texans right before being traded to Cleveland in the springtime back in March. Settled 23 of 24 lawsuits filed by women alleging sexual harassment and assault during treatments in 2020 and 2021. The NFL has 3 days to appeal the decision. So Is this too much? Are they doing too much? The ladies I'm talking about. So we really, before we could really pass judgment on these ladies per se, I mean, a lot of people think that this is a money grab, and it probably is. He settled these lawsuits, which means that they were paid money. They got paid for the massages, and they got paid for these allegations. According to the NFL, although this is the most significant punishment ever imposed on an NFL player for allegations of non-violent sexual conduct, Mr. Watson's pattern of conduct is more egregious than any before reviewed by the NFL. Of course, his got to be the worst, right? Allegedly. So there is a conclusion that former federal judge Sue L. Robinson wrote a 16-page report, and it's called Decision, and in reference to the matter of Deshaun Watson. We're going to look at that in a minute. Yeah, I feel a certain kind of way about this. I do. These allegations, 2-year-old allegations, and they're allegations. I mean, what has been proven exactly? What exactly did he do? Did he actually assault these women? I mean, I think that that's important for us to know. I mean, they're handing down judgment, besmirching this man, and we don't even know really what he did. I mean, we know he got a massage, right? Did he do something to these women exactly? Did he put hands on these women? No. What did he do? I mean, he paid the women, right? I'm assuming that he paid these women for these massages. So, I mean, how many times did he have to pay? I mean, because he's been paying for this. So we're talking about these allegations that happened allegedly in 2020 and 2021. So as a condition of his reinstatement, it's mandated that Watson only use massage therapists approved by the team for the rest of his career. Oh, yes, he is on massage probation. He's on massage supervised probation. Is that crazy? I mean, is that crazy? Have you even heard of such? Massage probation. They need to verify who rubs on this man for the rest of his career. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. That is, I mean, I really don't know how to categorize that, right? I really don't know. So let's take a look at this decision that was handed down by a judge. A former judge. Former judge did this decision, and 16 pages. 16-page decision. So, and of course, you know, on brand, it is a whole bunch of legal mumbo jumbo, what I like to call legalese. It's a whole bunch of that. All right, so let's back up here. All right, so the collective bargaining agreement between the NFL, the National Football League Players Association, authorizes the commissioner of the NFL to discipline players for conduct detrimental to the integrity of or public confidence in the game of professional football. Isn't that that's a very interesting statement, considering some of the things that have happened over the years. That is a very interesting open for this. Very interesting. They talk in this first paragraph about the process. The process. All right. So starting in 2020, the initial determination of whether a player in the NFL has violated the policy, and if so, what discipline should be imposed, is to be made by a disciplinary officer jointly selected and appointed by the parties. So that's who laid out this decision. And as I said, this decision is by Sue L. Robinson, clearly a lady. And so let's skip around here. So we're just on page 2. This is just page 2, a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo, legal talk. So we get down here to page 3, and it says that the NFL's investigation was conducted by 2 former prosecutors with decades of experience investigating sexual assault cases. So they want to lay out that the persons, the 2 folks that did this investigating, they are well steeped in sexual assaults. They got a lot of years doing this kind of stuff. So they say that although Mr. Watson allegedly worked with more than 60 massage therapists during the 15-month period beginning in the fall of 2019 through the winter of 2021, the NFL only investigated the claims of the 24 therapists suing Mr. Watson for damages. Okay, so I think that's important. So yes, he got a lot of massages, more than 60 different masseuses. Now, 24 of these women have come forward, 24 of more than 60. All right. And of these 24 complainants, the NFL investigators were only able to interview 12. All right. So they cut that number in half. They were only able to interview 12. And of those 12, the NFL relied for its conclusion on the testimony of 4 therapists. We're doing a whole lot of chopping up here. 4 therapists. All right. Now, these 4 therapists, as well as interviews of some 37 other third-party and substantial documentary evidence. So, they did this investigation. Now, it was over, I guess, potentially over 60 massage therapists that he had contact with. 24 have filed complaints. They were able to reach 12 of the 24, but they only relied on the testimony of 4. Right? That's kind of interesting. The math is crazy. So they have this investigative report along with the testimony of the investigators, comprise the NFL's case presented at the 3-day evidentiary hearing conducted pursuant to Article 46 of the 2020 Collective Bargaining Agreement. So the record before me also includes multiple exhibits identified during the hearing and the testimony of the sports chiropractor and psychotherapist who currently work with Mr. Watson. So yeah, so this was a serious thing. So they go on and they talk about the investigation, right? And here on page 4, they talk about the pattern of conduct described by the NFL, which includes the following steps. Here we're getting to what the issue is supposed to be. Mr. Watson identified himself from the outset of each encounter as a quarterback for the NFL via an Instagram inquiry for a massage. Mr. Watson requests were typically urgent, wanting to schedule a massage that day. He was not looking for a professional setting and often inquired as to whether the massage would be private. Mr. Watson admitted that he was not concerned whether the women were experienced massage therapists or even licensed. Of the 4 massage therapists who were the subject of this report, only 3 were licensed and operating their own businesses. The 4th therapist was working towards her license. So he's trying, is he trying to help out these girls? Is he saying, look, how you have those drivers on the road that have the little signs that say, bear with me, I'm a new driver? Does he deserve any kudos for saying, I'll take anybody? Doesn't even matter whether you have your massage L's, your massage license or not? No, they're pointing this out to say that he wanted more than a massage, and he didn't even care who was touching him. Therapists who are the subject of this report, remember there are 4 that they were really taking their word, and there were only 4, and only 3 are licensed. 1 has her permit, right? Watson would follow his Instagram contact with Texas calls before each session to make sure that the therapists were comfortable massaging certain areas of his body. Wow. All right. So as you can see, there's more to this story than some of you may have thought. So he starts talking about some of the areas that he wants to be touched, particularly his lower back, glutes, abs, and growing area. That's his focus point. Mr. Watson requested that the therapist use a towel to cover his private parts rather than the more typically used sheet. Mr. Watson often provided his own towels, for which have been variously described as medium or small or Gatorade towels. Yeah. And so the more we go into this, the worse that it looks. Just tuning in, it's your man Diamond K in here. The Diamond K Show, DiamondKShow.com, onfire-tv.com, radioonfire.com. We're talking about Deshaun Watson and his suspension. Some may have thought that this is too much, that they are picking on him, and we are going through the decision by the NFL disciplinary officer, Sue L. Robinson, on Deshaun Watson's suspension for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy following these accusations. The accusations of sexual misconduct that were made by 24 women in Texas during massage treatments. So we're continuing. We are on page 5 here, and they are describing in this decision what is the pattern. The pattern is that Deshaun Watson was allegedly reaching out to these women on Instagram, DMing them, not really concerned about whether or not they were licensed, texting them, following up with texts and calls, trying to make sure that they were good with rubbing his lower back, his stomach, his groin, the private area. He did not cover up with the sheet as per the normal massages. He was using a very small towel. And you can kind of see where this is going. Once in the massage session, it continues. Each of the therapists allege that Mr. Watson engaged in what the NFL has characterized as sexual behavior. He's probably touching himself. This behavior includes Mr. Watson's insistence that the therapist work on his focus points with just a towel as the cover. So he wants them to touch him while he has the towel on, just the towel. When he turned over on his back, it is alleged that Mr. Watson exposed himself and purposefully contacted the therapist's hands and arms multiple times. Right? So he's playing with them, right? He's trying to, I don't know, he's doing a lot. He's doing a lot. And one of the therapists alleged that Mr. Watson not only contacted her arm multiple times, but he released himself on her arm. There is no allegation that Mr. Watson exerted any force against any of the therapists. So what is disturbing about this is that this is a sick pattern. This is very weird, right? It's not even that. It's like, I don't know if do you remember like Pee Wee Herman? You remember how like he just was going into public restrooms and just doing crazy stuff? This is kind of weird. This is kind of weird. It's not that the women felt like they were in danger per se. He's just doing freaky stuff in the presence of some type of a therapist. And the reason why he doesn't really care about it is because this is not really about him working on any injury. This is like a sick fantasy kind of thing. So this is the findings, and this is the page 5. So they talk about on page 6 conduct that qualifies as sexual assault. So what we just described is that sexual assault. So they go in and they actually talk about the conduct that qualifies as sexual assault. The record presented by the NFL to support its allegations of sexual assault includes many undisputed facts. For instance, there is no dispute that Mr. Watson used Instagram to contact these therapists and that he was clearly identified to them as a player for the NFL. And he did this through Instagram. There is also no dispute that he reached out for private massage sessions with women whose professional qualifications were unknown to him, nor were their professional qualifications explored by him. Mr. Watson always forecast his desire that certain areas of his body be massaged, including his lower back, glutes, abs, and growing area. In all 4 cases, the therapists were willing to go forward with the massage. However, none of the therapists were willing to offer massage services to him again. Finally, there is no dispute that Mr. Watson preferred a towel to the traditional used sheet for draping, and there should be no dispute that the medium or small size towel will more likely slip off, like whoops, towel slipped off, and more easier than a sheet, leaving the client exposed. Importantly, much of the alleged conduct is not in and of itself challenged as wrongful. And I think that that's important. So while I think that he clearly has some type of a problem, the conduct itself is kind of, while it's weird and it's not normal, but and that's why I think that they have a burden to really prove that this is sexual assault. I mean, him ejaculating on the girl's arm that's something there. That's kind of a borderline there. So Mr. Watson did not testify that he was aroused and inadvertently touched the therapist here. Instead, he has categorically denied the allegations. He has categorically denied all these allegations. He says that they're not true. It is his word against theirs. They all have the same word, though. So it is difficult to weigh into a complete denial. Right? He weighed against the credibility of the investigators, their testimony. He had a whole lot of issues with that. Moreover, the totality of the evidence, including the undisputed facts relating to Mr. Watson's use of a towel, his focal points, and the not uncommon experience of the therapist being in contact with his private area lends to support the conclusion. This is what Sue Robinson is saying, the disciplinary officer. She's saying that it is more probable than not that Mr. Watson did have erections and that he contacted the therapist as she claimed. So the officer is making an assumption that based on the facts at hand, based on the facts that he was barely clothed, or wasn't clothed, based on the fact that he just had this towel on him, she is making the assumption that he was aroused and that the things that the ladies are alleging actually happened. He says that they didn't. The massage therapists are saying that it did, and the disciplinary officer is siding with the therapist. So they talk about conduct that poses a genuine danger to the safety and well-being of another person. And they go in, and I think that this is one of the things that a lot of folks were talking about. What constituted as the women were in fear, right? Or why were they scared, right? And so they say that the therapists were fearful of Mr. Watson's ability to use his status as an NFL player to damage their professional careers. Furthermore, evidence identified by the NFL in support of this offense includes testimony from the 4 therapists. So these are the 4 therapists that are at the matter here, and really the focal points. One of the therapists told the investigators that she sought counseling after her session with Mr. Watson and is struggling to work. Of course she is. Of course. And this is his fault. This is his fault. He did this. And, while I don't know if I agree with this being the result, who am I to say what would happen, right? So another therapist reported that she was frustrated, upset, and embarrassed after the session. That's true. I can understand that. A third therapist testified that she changed her business practices and suffered from depression and sleeplessness as a result of the incident. I mean, that's a lot. But I mean, when you do wrong actions, when you do this kind of stuff, they can say pretty much anything and you got to go along with it. Who is just as crazy as he seems doing it? I can say whatever I want to say about these ladies, but if that's how they feel, what can we do? What can we say? What can we say? What can we say? So the 4th therapist remained uncertain whether she would continue to pursue a career in massage therapy. Maybe they weren't that good. Maybe they needed to get into another career. Because they should have never massaged him in the first place by the way he was acting. How much money were they paid for these massages? I don't think they talk about that. Right? So if you talk about why did he have to get 60 different massage therapists? Because after this experience, these ladies didn't want to massage him no more, so he had to find somebody else. Only his girlfriend gonna want to massage him like this. This is a bit much. Now, the NFL recommended that Deshaun Watson be suspended for at least the entire 2022 NFL regular and postseason and not be permitted to return unless he satisfies any condition imposed for reinstatement. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. That's what they claimed that they wanted. That is not what happened. So the Players Association responded first by relating the history of the policy and discipline imposed under the policy. Prior to the NFL's disciplinary action against Ray Rice in 2014, there were no standards differentiating violent conduct from other prohibited conduct, and a 2-game suspension was the prevailing ceiling established by the precedent. When the commissioner followed such precedent by, despite the violence of Ray Rice's conduct, a public outcry ensued. The NFL responded by revising its policy to include a presumptive 6-game suspension without pay for the certain first-time violent offenders, including a policy violation involving criminal assault, battery, domestic violence, dating violence, child abuse, and other forms of family violence, sexual assault involving physical force or committed against someone. So, they have good representation here, the Players Association. They are pointing to the fact that, wait, what do you mean you want me to be out for the whole season when you had people that did actual physical harm to people, physical harm to children, domestic violence, and family violence, and they only got either 2 games or 6 games, and you want me, Deshaun Watson, to be out for the entire season? That's not fair. That's what they're saying. That's not right. And I think that they have a case. I think they have a leg to stand on with regards to that. So they continued, and we are on page 13 at this point, 13 of 16, and it says that it is undisputed that Mr. Watson's conduct does not fall into the category of violent conduct that would require the minimum 6-game suspension. Oh, yeah, they went there. It likewise is undisputed that prior cases involving non-violent sexual assault have resulted in discipline far less severe than what the NFL proposes here, with the most severe penalty being a 3-game suspension for a player who had previously been warned about his conduct. So they say, look, this is the first time Deshaun Watson has had this kind of an issue, and why y'all trying to do a brother like that? So they continued about standards of fairness and consistency. Oh, they are good. They're good. They're laying it out real good. This is the Players Association responding to the NFL wanting Deshaun Watson to be gone for the entire 2022 season, which is not going to happen. Does not seem like that anyway. So they continue to talk about that. And then they get to the conclusion here. The NFL may be a forward-facing organization, but it is not necessarily a forward-looking one. Oh yeah, it is. It is interesting how we got here. So Watson, as we said, suspended for 6 regular season games without pay, and he is to have no involvement. Is to have no adverse involvement with law enforcement. He's got to stay out of trouble, and obviously cannot commit any other crimes like these. So this was dated today. The parties have 3 business days to appeal, and we'll see what happens after that. I think that this is going to stand. I think this is going to stand. I think that what can you say? He wasn't violent against the ladies. He was not violent, but he was definitely like weird. Like this is like super weird. And clearly these ladies were uncomfortable with what he was doing and what he wanted them to do. He wanted them to, lay there while I do. It's kind of weird. But I think it is what it is. And they come back when he returns. Cleveland's going to be facing the Baltimore Ravens that week. So I don't know whether it's going to be good or bad. We're going to see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show. Of course, onfire-tv.com, radioonfire.com. Did they come down too hard on him or not enough? A lot of people, I'm looking online, a lot of people have some different thoughts about this. Some different thoughts about it. And, there's a lot of different ways that you can come at this. And speaking of that, I think it's a great segue. We're going to talk about problems, reoccurring issues with regards to weird and disturbing allegations. We're going to talk about the rapper Mystikal and the trouble that he's in right after this. This is the Diamond K Show on fire-tv.com.
Visit onfiretv.com for live top stories, breaking news, and original shows.
Welcome back. The citywide all-white affair goes down Saturday, August the 13th, brought to you by Terry T Productions. It's going to happen at M&T Bank Stadium, the Upper North Club level. It is official. 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. on the ones and twos. The legendary DJ Terry T, Kenny K, DJ Booby, DJ Sean Marshall, Tommy Davis, DJ Dre Hart, Davon the Percussionist, all hosted by Dollar Bill, April Watts, Ryan the Lion, and Natural. Get your tickets right now on eventbrite.com. So we're talking about Mystikal. Y'all remember Mystikal, right? Mystikal, the New Orleans rapper, allegedly raped a woman at his Prairieville home. He has been jailed without bond. So if you're saying, wait, is this an old story? Haven't we done this story already? You'd be right to think that, because we have touched on this before. Mystikal is from New Orleans. He's been accused of sexual assault twice in the past 20 years. He was booked on new charges after a woman reported being raped at his home over the weekend. According to records, they say that Michael Tyler, better known as Mystikal, was arrested yesterday and booked on several charges, including first-degree rape and false imprisonment. He is being held in jail without bond. Hearing is scheduled for tomorrow. Now, the arrest warrant detailed the violent assault, which allegedly happened Saturday and involved an acquaintance who was visiting his home. Documents say that Mystikal accused the woman of stealing $100 in cash from him before punching her, choking her, pulling braids out of her hair, and taking her keys and phone to prevent her from leaving. The victim said that she began looking all over Tyler's home for the missing money, hoping it would calm him down. During the search, she told deputies she stumbled upon a crystalline substance in a drawer, which investigators believe may have been meth. The woman also described Tyler as going through bizarre mood swings. One moment berating her over the missing money, the next moment becoming very apologetic and asking her to pray with him. It's at that point that Mystikal reportedly asked the woman if he could feel her. When she refused, the victim was pushed onto the bed and forcibly raped. After the assault, the report says that Mystikal again demanded the victim return the missing $100 through Cash App and gave the woman her phone so she could pay him. While she was setting up the payment, Tyler allegedly took the phone back, entered the amount of $150, and sent the payment to himself. After that, he gave the phone back, and the woman was finally allowed to leave. This is crazy. This is crazy. But this is the allegation, and of course, he is innocent until proven guilty. We have heard of this type of behavior from him before. The other case involved some woman allegedly stealing money from him, according to him. As the victim drove away, she phoned a friend who agreed to meet her at a Baton Rouge hospital. There, a sexual assault kit was performed on the victim, and deputies found injuries consistent with her description of the attack. Mystikal previously, as we talked about, faced, similar charges. Back in 2004, after sexually assaulting his hairstylist, he spent 6 years in prison following the arrest and registered as a sex offender upon his release. He was arrested again in 2017, surrendering himself to police after learning there was a warrant for his arrest related to an assault that allegedly happened at a Shreveport casino. The charges from the 2017 allegations were eventually dropped. He was released from jail on $3 million bond. His full list of charges includes first-degree rape, false imprisonment, domestic abuse battery, strangulation, simple robbery, and simple criminal damage to property. So they're claiming in the sheriff's office that despite his fame, he is not being treated differently. He didn't show the victim any sympathy, and he won't get any sympathy or special treatment here. He will be in general population and incarcerated like anyone else. Police said that after searching his home, deputies found multiple drugs. Tyler will be booked on additional charges for possession of meth, marijuana, Xanax, heroin, and other drug paraphernalia. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. This is a real unfortunate thing. He did a lot, and Jeremiah summed it up well. He is an idiot. Mystikal. I mean, he had a lot of hit songs. I've seen him perform a few times. I met him once. Seemed pretty cool. Didn't seem like this was how he got down, but clearly he has a problem. And I guess this is not technically 3 strikes because the one case from 2017 was dropped, but this is not a good look. This is not a good look. Clearly he has a drug problem. That's clear based on what they found at his house. I mean, this is I just, what an idiot. Yeah, you summed it up well. He's an idiot. Just tuning in, your man Diamond K in here. TheDiamondKShow.com, onfire-tv.com, radioonfire.com. So before we get out of here, this was a crime-filled weekend in Baltimore City from July 29th through July 31st. Baltimore City experienced multiple shooting incidents that included 5 homicide victims, 9 non-fatal shootings, and 17 confirmed robberies. During that time, officers made more than 40 arrests, 1 homicide arrest, 2 attempted murder arrests, 22 aggravated assault arrests, 2 handgun violation arrests, 4 robbery arrests, and 2 narcotics arrests. Additionally, 3 handgun violation warrants and 1 robbery warrant were issued. It is, I don't know. What is going on? What is going on? Baltimore City, we can do better than this. We can do better than this. And someone on Facebook is saying about Mystikal, not again, damn, not again. Career is shot. Yes, his career is shot. He was doing some touring, it was like 90s kind of throwback kind of tours. He was on the No Limit tour. I don't know what's going to happen with him now. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with him now. It is very unfortunate. He's talented, but this is crazy. This is crazy. And if he needs to get help, which he clearly does, then go get the help that you need, man. This is not the way you handle stuff. Even if the woman did steal the money, then you take the proper channels, because she was sending him the money, right? Maybe she actually did steal the money. Well, what's crazy about this is she stole the money. She was sending him the money. He took an extra $50 from her. So they're going to say that he robbed her. He should have just reported her instead of doing all that he did. Yeah, it's just, I mean, to me, it's common sense. To you, it may be common sense, but he has a drug problem. And so, there you have it. Before we get out of here, definitely have to send a rest in peace shout out to the great Bill Russell. The great Bill Russell. He died yesterday at the age of 88. Man, he is a 11-time NBA champion with the Boston Celtics, 2-time Hall of Famer, an Olympic gold medalist. I mean, what else can you say about the great Bill Russell? I have never worked to be well-liked or well-loved, only to be well-respected, Russell wrote in his 1966 book, Go Up for Glory. I believe I can contribute something far more important than mere basketball. Oh, he was the man. Definitely. Never had to find his voice as an activist. He didn't know any other way to speak but his mind. It just, nothing but respect for the great Bill Russell. He showed many folks in the game how they were supposed to act. Definitely was a champion of activism even before he won his NBA titles. So you're going to hear a lot of folks talk about Bill Russell, and I don't think you're going to hear anybody say anything negative about him. Just one of the best players of all time. Definitely. It's just, he said that if my popularity depends on things like this, I don't give a damn. A star of Russell's stature, showing a willingness to put his convictions ahead of his athletic career, put him in a small group of athletes during that time, like Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown, legendary folks. And he definitely is somebody that's going to be remembered like that. Definitely something. In the end, when you talked about how he wanted to be remembered, he said in 1966, in the end, I live with the hopes that when I die, it will be inscribed for me, Bill Russell, he was a man. If that sums it up well, not only was Bill Russell a man, he was the man. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show. Of course, radioonfire.com, onfire-tv.com. I am here weekdays running things down, giving you my take on the news and top stories of the day. I will be back here tomorrow. Tune in. See you guys.
It's The Diamond K Show.
So much going on in the world. You talk about things from the perspective of how it is. DJ Diamond K, sometimes it comes off like you are almost not in support of, but you just accept the way things are and there's no chance of change. Check me out on YouTube. That's the part that I am just like,
onfiretv.com.